3, 2, 1. Hey guys, Golden back for Chapter 3 of Underfell. Woo! I'm curious, because I'm recording these two videos, or editing these two videos in sequence, meaning I just finished the second one, so I'm starting on the third one now. So I have no idea how you guys reacted to Chapter 2. Personally, so far, Chapter 2, I think, was amazing, the way that I put it together. I personally love the way I put it together, and I have no idea how you guys are going to react to it. But anyway, other than that, hope you guys enjoyed Chapter 3. I'm going to be working on it, hopefully get it exactly like Chapter 2, but here we go, off into the video. See you guys at the end. The first thing that hits you outside the ruins is the biting cold. The heavy door, which swings shut behind you as soon as you're through, must have been well insulated, because the cold is a shock to your system. Your fingers crawl inside the sleeves of your striped shirt, flinching away from the wind. Even if you wanted to go back, you know you can't. The door seems to have all but melted into the wall, with no handles to pull it back open. It doesn't matter anyway. You can't go back. You have to go home. You trudge on through the snowy path, suddenly thankful for the change of shoes. You and Flowey continue on in silence for a while, but you start to feel an itchy sensation on the back of your neck, like you're being watched. You walk a little faster, taking care to dodge the fallen tree branch in your path. Soon after you pass it, you hear it crack, and turning around reveals only broken remains. "We should get out of here," Flowey says, and you agree. Instead of walking, you run. You can feel something just behind you, but every time you glance back, there's nothing but your own footsteps. You're running so fast, so focused on what's behind you, that you barely notice the gate barring your path in time. It's getting to a stop in front of it. The bars look much too tight to squeeze through, but you can't go back. Whatever is following you, it must be approaching fast. You can hear footsteps crunching in the snow. You try desperately to push your way through, but it's no use. The footsteps come to a stop inches away. "Human," you shudder. "Don't you know how to greet a new pal? Turn around. Shake my hand." There's no escape. Maybe if you play along, he'll let you go. You turn slowly and inch your hand forwards. Your fingers meet thin, hard appendages instead of the expected skin or fur, which wrap tightly around your hand. "Wait, don't!" you hear Flowey cry, but it's too late. He grabs your hand and pulls his arm back, tossing you to the side. You land hard on your side, the light snow cover not enough to cushion the fall entirely. You look up to meet the eyes of your attacker, or apparent lack thereof. Only empty eye sockets blinking back at you, framed by bone. Despite being a skeleton, the figure manages to look heavyset, seated in his thick black jacket. The cold of the snow seeps through your thin shirt, so you start to pick yourself off the ground, not letting your guard down this time. Your eyes stick on the fuzzy coat, which, what does a skeleton need such a warm jacket for anyway? You got the feeling that in a different time, a different place, you might have asked to borrow it. Then you shake your head. That's ridiculous. How gullible. He gives a big wide grin that puts you on edge, but he doesn't make another attempt to hurt you. Anyways, you're a human, right? I'm Sans. I'm actually supposed to be on watch for humans right now. You take a step back, ready to run. Relax, kid, honestly. I don't really care about capturing humans. Now, my brother, Papyrus, he's a human hunting fanatic. That look in his eyes reminds you of Toriel as she led you deeper into the ruins. It's a mixture of glee and anticipation, like he just can't wait till his brother gets his hands on you. But Toriel could be changed. Couldn't Sans and Papyrus as well? Hey, actually, I think that's him over there. The words startle you out of your thoughts. If Papyrus is so intent on hunting humans, you don't want to be anywhere near him, but you still can't get through the bars. Sans huffs out a laugh. "Well, I guess it wouldn't be any fun if he captured you right away, wouldn't it? Follow me, kid." From his jacket pocket, he pulls a keyring with a single key on it, which unlocks the large gate. A sudden idea springs to your mind. You ask Sans if that's a skeleton key. He looks at you weird, and maybe you deserve it. You did just try to tell a monster a joke. Hey Papyrus, Sand calls out, and you look at him, a little betrayed. You have to keep reminding yourself he's not your friend. No one is down here. You don't have much time to linger on how that makes you feel. Instead, you duck for cover behind a snow-covered sentry station before Papyrus can notice you. It's a good thing you hid. The tall, scowling skeleton that stalks out to meet Sans looks much more menacing than his brother. He lacks Sans' easy grin, seeming serious instead, and you shudder to think all the focus is for hunting down humans. Papyrus' sharp voice grates against your ears like rattling bones.
Sans, aren't you supposed to be at our post? What are you even doing?
Sans casts a deliberate look towards where you're crouching, unmoving. Watching my station, he answers. You barely dare to breathe. Papyrus heaves a long, suffering sigh, like this isn't anything new.
You're supposed to be watching at our station. What if a human comes through? I would want to be ready, of course. Not that any human wouldn't have a chance of escaping.
Sand grins, sounding pretty genuine when he adds, Of course not. You're the best human hunter out there. The skeleton stands up a little straighter, cape rippling in the icy wind.
Still, you know the importance of capturing a human. The power, the prestige. Undying will be dust underneath my boots' heels with the power of the soul on my side. Then, I, the great Papyrus, will finally get what I always deserved. Respect, recognition. The royal guard will tremble in my presence.
You're starting to think Papyrus may be a little full of himself. Then again, he looks formidable enough that you think better of calling him on his lies. Maybe this sentry stand will help you. Sand cuts in. You feel one of Flowey's vines brush against your neck as he curls closer to you. Luckily, Papyrus looks more annoyed at being interrupted than he does interested in checking your hiding spot.
Sans, you are not helping. You should be using the post. Maybe if you weren't so lazy, we would have caught a human by now.
Sans looks cowed by the rebuke.
Regardless, I will attend to my traps. Try to get a little more work done in the meantime.
The crunching of boots against the snow signals Papyrus's exit. You heave a sigh of relief. Sans doesn't look thrilled to see you again. Well, you better get going. But when you try to leave, he calls out to you again. Actually, kid, could you do me a favor? My brother talks a big game, but he's never actually seen a human before. I think capturing you might really lift his spirits. Don't worry, he's harmless. His grin and the last conversation suggest otherwise. Still, what choice do you have? You can't turn back. So even if it means putting yourself in the path of a murderous monster, you have to keep pressing forwards. Once you're out of earshot, you finally relax, releasing tension with a big, whooshing breath. You slide your backpack off, place it next to you, where you can see Flowey inside. He looks a little bothered by something. And once you composed yourself enough, you ask him what's the matter. Flowey's eyes dart up at you in surprise, and then look away just as quickly. I'm sorry. I knew Sans and Papyrus would be here. I just should have warned you. But I was afraid. I've seen what they're capable of. I know I put you in danger, but as soon as I saw him, I locked up. You reassure Flowey that you're not mad. After all, you didn't get hurt in the end. He looks surprised, but relieved. Thanks. I'll do better next time. I promise. You feel like Flowey's still holding something back, but it might not be a good idea to press it right now. You're still shaky with adrenaline and unprepared to do much more than trudge forwards, deeper into the snowstorm. You see very little of the skeletons for a while. You do unfortunately see a rather menacing-looking guard dog. Or rather, the dog sees you. A sharp bark makes you still on instinct as the dog leaps out from behind the sentry station, growling.
Who's there?
It barks, surprising you not only with its ability to speak, but also when it stands upright, holding two knives.
I saw something move. If something was moving, for example, a human, I'll make sure it never moves again!
For some reason, the presence of a talking, knife-wielding dog bothers you even more than the monsters you've seen so far. Maybe it's just because they remind you so much of the normal, monster-free world that they seem so out of place here. If Doggo, Flowey helpfully names the monsters you meet now, is so familiar to regular dogs, maybe you could treat it like one. But first, there's a matter of evading its attacks. You try to dodge, but Doggo's eyes lock onto you. Wherever you try to move, his eyes seem to follow you. But you remember that before, when you stood in front of the sentry post unmoving, Doggo had been growling at empty air. You really hoped you weren't wrong on this one. This time when Doggo swung at you, you hold your breath, keeping absolutely still. His swing went wildly to the left, completely missing you. This must be the trick. If you don't move, he cannot see you, and that would let you counter. Slowly, so as not to be noticed, you inch out with your hand until it's resting on Doggo's head. The dog, still looking confused and angry until you start to pet it. Then, it seems to be enjoying itself, even if it doesn't want to.
Who's petting me? Stop it!
You continue until Doggo's stiffness leaves him and relaxes into your touch. You smile, pleased with the dog. No matter how scary he may have seemed, it's just as susceptible to being pet as any other. When you stop petting, Doggo seems like it doesn't care to fight anymore, and you breathe a sigh of relief. It curls up inside the sentry box, seeming content. Even if it never found out who was moving, you take this as your cue to move on. The icy terrain holds many more dogs, as well as a surprising amount of dangerous traps. You are saved from electrocution by Flowey's sudden shout of "Stop!" getting so close to the danger that you feel static coming off the empty air in front of you.
That was close. Sorry, I just remembered. The skeleton, Papyrus, mentioned traps in Snowden, and I think this is one of them.
You are certainly glad you avoided walking right into it. There's no way you'd stand a chance against the skeleton after a shock like that. You take a step back for safety, trying to figure out a good way to cross unharmed. You ask Flowey if this trap here is always on.
Yeah, they're always activated in case a human passes through. The monsters of Snowden just know how to get around them.
The snowfall has died here. In fact, the sky is nearly clear, with no fresh snow. It's actually fairly easy to see where the snow looks disturbed. This may be where the people have passed through, and it should be a safe path through. You tell Flowey about your idea. He looks doubtful for a moment, but it flickers out of his eyes just as quickly.
Alright, I trust you. Let's go.
It's a tense walk through the electrical field, but you're come out unscarred. The next few traps vary pretty widely in difficulty. One is just an old crossword, ink bleeding a bit from where the snow has wetted the page. Actually, you're not even sure it was supposed to be a trap or if someone just dropped their newspaper. Others, however, take a bit longer to navigate through. They almost fall off an edge of a particular ice switch-based puzzle into a dark abyss below, and you're still smelling singed hair from a flamethrower on the bridge. You narrowly avoided death on that one. In between these puzzles are more guard dogs, even more imposing than the last one. Lesser Dog just seems grumpy until you show him some affection. Then, he surprisingly turns friendly. Doggo Rim and Doggo Essa, however, pose more of a problem. Okay, pause the story real quick. Just for a real quick second, I'm going to call it Dog and Dogga. Okay? Good. The two dogs approach, cloaked in long black robes, with their noses sticking out. They hold matching scythes, resembling twin reapers standing out against the bright white snow. Thinking fast, you notice their reliance on smell rather than sight. Maybe if they don't smell you, maybe they'll let you go. You duck under one of the scythe swings, rolling in the snow to avoid the other. Suddenly, both dogs stop, sniffing the air.
It smells like a pup, not a human,
Dog declares, and you use his distraction as an opportunity to pet Dogga. When both dogs have been petted, you finally calm down, recognizing you as only a very strange pup. You are thankful for similar behavior of the dogs, especially when a small snow poof rises a huge dog. Greater Dog certainly lives up to his name, towering at least 3 times your height. You're not even sure if you can reach the dog's head to pet it, and he doesn't look like he wants you to. While the other dogs have been dangerous but ultimately just curious, Greater Dog looks furious at being disturbed. A single swipe sends you flying into the snow. Struggling to your feet, you try to look for any weakness, but the dog seems to use all of its senses. If you could just get it to trust you, you might be able to calm it down. Greater Dog drops to all fours when it lunges at you, teeth snapping inches away from your face. Against your better judgment, you beckon it over. You reassure Greater Dog that you don't mean to hurt it. He stalks towards you, snarling, but you're ready for him now. When he gets within range, you reach out and give him a pet. Unlike the other dogs, he just looks angry at that. Or maybe he's just more energetic now. You toss a bit of snow, and he leaps up to catch it, in his snapping jaws, looking surprised when he realizes it's just harmless snow. Greater Dog somehow looks more trusting, and in the end proves to be no different from the others. A good pet, once he finds you trustworthy, is all he needs to back down and return to sleeping. Exhausted, you still find it in yourself to smile. The monsters here are scary, but like those in the ruins, they can be calmed down. You think, a little sadly, that friends must be a few and far between down here. Could you really expect monsters who have never known friendship to accept it from a human? Well, some of them have. You think of your friends in the ruins, and those you've made here. You were just a single human, too weak to even fight. But if you could do anything for these monsters, you hoped you could help by showing them kindness.
Even if they don't deserve it?
Chloe asks when you tell him this. The question makes you pause. Doesn't everyone deserve kindness?
What if they're bad? What if they messed up?
You tell him it doesn't matter. For some reason, he looks sadder, but he doesn't say anything else. Over the next hill, you can finally spot the town. Something catches your eye. You spin, finding nothing behind you. But you're left with the feeling of being watched. You tell yourself you're just being paranoid and keep walking, even if you don't really believe it.